Welcome to the fantasy zone.
Don't forget to subscribe!
Alright, before we begin, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm not wearing my onesie anymore. I wore that thing for 3 videos straight. It needed a wash. Alright, now that we got that awkward bit out the way, let's look at some Mega Man games on the Game Boy. Here in the States, they are just Mega Man Game Boy games, I guess. Besides the first one, which is given the subtitle Wily's Revenge. In Japan, they are referred to as Rockman World. The games themselves are just 4 bosses from the NES game shoved into a Game Boy game. While the first 4 are just compilations of bosses from the NES games, the 5th one actually has its own original story where Mega Man has to defeat these robots from space called Star Droids. But yes, Wily is behind it. He also can shoot his fist and gets a new robot animal named Tango, a cat that goes apeshit. Neat. How about Mega Man X on the go? Mega Man Extreme for the Game Boy Color. Wait. Honestly, I always avoided Mega Man X, because it always felt like the edgy Mega Man to me, like, it's Mega Man X because it's extreme. I was kidding. Like the Game Boy games, it has its own story, but it's basically Mega Man X, same bosses and everything. I will say, I was expecting this to suck since, well, 2 buttons for a Super Nintendo game, but when you get used to dashing by tapping the D-pad twice, it's not bad. Extreme 2 plays a lot like the first one, but slightly better, a common theme with all Mega Man games. Weirdly, the game is about Maverick ghosts, and it involves the souls of dead Mavericks. They're robots, how do they have souls? The only other X spin-off is Mega Man X Command Mission for the PS2 and GameCube. It's an RPG, a good one, at least as far as I played. It has the system of using weapon energy for sub-weapons along with a main attack to deal damage. Or you can save your weapon energy to unleash a big attack to deal a lot of damage. Kinda reminds me of an SMT game like Digital Devil Saga or something. One thing I'm not into is you have to dash into these items to get them. That annoys me for some reason. Next is Mega Man and Bass, or Rockman and Forte in Japan, which was the only place you could play it on the Super Famicom until it released outside of Japan on the GBA, which is how I played it as a kid. Like the title says, you can play as Mega Man or Bass, but pick Bass. Mega Man plays like he usually does, which is bad for this game, because the levels are clearly designed around Bass. He can fire in multiple directions, has Zero's double jump and X's dash, and yeah, he's better. He can't charge shot though, which makes some bosses harder, but trust me, the stages will give you the most pain. This is arguably the most difficult Mega Man game. Enemies do a lot of damage, tight timings for passing obstacles, and tons of instant death crap. Retro gaming bullshit turned up to 11 here. This next game is a weird one, Street Fighter X Mega Man. This was apparently a fan game made by someone in Singapore, and Capcom saw it and supported it, helping him make it. And then they released it for free for Mega Man's 25th anniversary. And yeah, it's exactly as advertised. It's a classic Mega Man game, but with Street Fighter characters as the bosses. One thing that command grabs my shoto is the respawn rate of enemies. Look at this. This had to be programmed in intentionally, no way this was left in by accident. Other than that, I can't hate on this game, or more like I don't want to, because it was a passion project made by love from a fan and supported by the company, so it gets an A+ from me. Now let's get into some real spin-offs. Made for the Famicom, it's Wily and Light No Rockboard. That's paradise. It's a typical business-type board game, like Monopoly or Fortune Street. You go around, you buy properties, fuck over your competition, a classic family game night tradition. On Super Nintendo, it's Mega Man Soccer, and boy does this game suck. It runs like shit, and whenever the camera moves to follow the ball, I can never get my bearings to take it before the computer does. Next, it's your obligatory mascot kart racer, Mega Man Battle and Chase on PS1. I will say, for a spin-off kart racer, it has a lot of voice acting. But that's probably because of the CD technology hype of the time. Not really a fan of this one. It's not bad, but the races can be very boring. Having them be 5 laps make them drag out, and you can easily get so far ahead that no one bothers you. I do like how each character has a special action they can do at any time, like Mega Man has his charge shot, and you get an item by killing enemies that are on the track. Some neat ideas here, but I'll stick to Crash Team Racing personally. Now for remakes. Mega Man The Wily Wars was released only in Japan and Europe on the Genesis. It's a remake of the first 3 Mega Mans with saving and updated everything. I say stick to NES though, here the controls feel stiffer than the NES games. Also, I usually love the way the Genesis sounds, but the music here isn't as good as NES in my opinion. I guess if you were Sega only at the time and wanted to play Mega Man, this was as good as it got. On the PSP, there were two remakes. First is Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, a complete remake of Mega Man X with 3D graphics, and it even has more playable characters and a full anime OVA included. Honestly though, I again say stick to the original. Not that the game is bad, it just doesn't feel as good to play as the original. Also, for some reason they moved the dash boots. Why? The original had them in the way of progress, so you can't miss them. Here they hide it where new players can miss one of the most fun mechanics of X. Just why? If you prefer to stick to the original, then try Mega Man Powered Up, a complete remake of the first Mega Man game. They even gave it a story and voice acting and added difficulty modes. They also added 2 new robot masters to bring the count up to 8. You got Time Man and Oil Man, who I think I'm supposed to be offended by. Yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about this one. You want to experience Mega Man, but a little bit easier, pick this up on your PSP. People still have those, right? Finally, let's take a look at the cult classic series of Mega Man games, Mega Man Legends. This is a third-person action shooter. The controls take some getting used to since it's PS1, and these types of games were not common yet. You use the L and R buttons to turn and aim. It takes a while for used to today's control scheme. I think Mega Man had an okay transition to 3D, but everyone remembers this game for its story and characters. Mega Man here, called Mega Man Walnut, is a digger who lives on a planet filled mostly by water, and most landmasses are just islands. As a digger, he goes into ruins of the flooded earth to find treasures. During it all, there are pirates, missing parents, forgotten memories, and today Walnut is trapped on another planet. Forever! I'm surprised that, for a PS1 game, there's a lot of voice acting. I'd argue more than most modern day games. There are also cutscenes using in-game models with some good animation and expressions. It really helps to get you sucked into the world when playing it. Mega Man Legends 2 is even better. For one, it uses the newfangled DualShock controller, allowing you to use analog sticks, which, needless to say, makes aiming and shooting way more intuitive. And it's still got that Mega Man Legends charm, so it's just an all-around upgrade. Don't know why Zenny looks like rupees now, but whatever. Might as well look at the Legends spin-off, The Misadventures of TRON BONNE. The goal is to earn 1 million Zenny so TRON BONNE can pay off a massive debt her brother gained. You earn money by doing 3 types of missions, each with their own style of gameplay. First one controls similar to the original Legends games, you just go around robbing people in your mech. Another is a puzzle game trying to steal containers, and the last is a sort of first-person dungeon crawler. I find them all to be quite fun. For a spin-off of a spin-off, there's also a lot of voice work here still. Servbots are hilarious, and the dialogue between them and TRON BONNE can be very entertaining.
Listen carefully. I'll shoot a beacon bomb over there. You go push the switch, all right? But Miss Tron, what happens if we get hit by the big ball? Well, we'll see what happens. Don't worry, it won't hurt that much. But Miss Tron!
We may not have a third Mega Man Legends, but we do have 3 great games about that universe. Alright, let's move on to the main event of this video, the Zero games. Now these were the first side-scrolling Mega Man games I played, and along with Mega Man Battle Network, helped introduce me to the series. Despite loving these games a lot, I haven't played them since maybe back in high school, I think. And yeah, I even skipped out on the Mega Man Zero collection that came out a while ago because, well, I already own the game, so I don't really want to buy them again. We may be exchanging blue for red, but similar to the other Mega Man games, these are all made on the same console about a year apart, so they play very similar to each other. One aspect that is different from Mega Man Blue is Zero's story takes place through all 4 games on the GBA. It's not episodic, the end of each game leads directly into the next one. There are reoccurring characters, these characters have arcs, and they all come to a conclusion by the end of Zero 4. I don't really want to go into it because in my opinion this is the best Mega Man story so far, and the Zero collection is right there, go play it. Just so we're on the same page though, the story revolves around Zero, who is reawakened after the events of one of the X's. Capcom kind of fucked up that timeline. He's woken by a human scientist named Ciel. However, when he is woken up, Zero loses all of his past memories and is a shell of his former self combat-wise. Ciel needs his help to defend against the forces of Neo Arcadia, a society of humans and Reploids run by a clone of Mega Man X. There's an energy crisis in Neo Arcadia, and in order to save energy, Clone X has branded all Reploids Mavericks, and wants to kill them all because if there are no more robots using energy, then they'll save energy. I mean, makes sense to me. The games follow Zero and the Resistance Force as they fight against the Neo Arcadian forces to bring back peace between Reploid and humans. Like I said though, this game is continuous, so the story has some twists and turns to keep it from being the same as other games. Hell, the actual main antagonist doesn't even show up until the 3rd game, and you don't even fight him in it. When I replay these games, I feel like I have to play them all in a row, because That's how you get the full story. It's also the darkest Mega Man story. You thought X was mature, Zero makes that look like Mega Man fully charged. The gameplay is awesome. While other Megas are more about patience and taking your time, Zero is fast-paced action. While the games add and remove different stuff as the series goes on, there are some consistent elements. The control is similar to X with a dash and wall jump mechanic. You also have access to 2 weapons at all times. Your weapons usually consist of a blaster and a variety of melee weapons, like Zero's sword, a shield boomerang, the claw, and fist. I exclusively use the sword cause, come on, I'm playing Zero, I want to cut bitches. In the first 2 you need to level up your weapons by using them to kill enemies. Doing this gives you access to more charge levels and attacks. After 3, all the weapons come fully upgraded at the start, which is great. It would be a pain in the ass if every game you had to do that. Problem with that is, in the first game it uses this mission system, which I'll talk more about later, but you pretty much can't replay levels. So if you need to level up a weapon, you need to find a spot in a level and stick to it, cause once it's gone, it's gone. Each game has cyber elves, these creatures you can use to heal you, and they do other stuff, but I mostly use them for healing, similar to an E-Tank in other games. After each stage, you're graded depending on how well you did, similar to a hack-and-slash game like Devil May Cry. The ranking actually matters too. Not in 1, you just need an A or better to get an exclusive Cyber Elf in Ciel's room. But in every other game, if you want to get the special boss skills and weapons like a classic Mega Man's, you need to retain an A rank or better, otherwise you're stuck with Zero's standard moves. Your rank decreases as you take damage, die, use Cyber Elves, take too long in a stage. Basically you gotta play like a top level speedrun. I'm terrible at video games and I die all the time, so I never got those powers. Maybe one day I'll graduate from being a Godspeed Edge boy and become a Godspeed Edge man. So that's it, video done right. Zero games are great. They got amazing music, graphics, gameplay, story. It's all there. It's the perfect Mega Man's. That's the problem. You're still playing Mega Man. You have stages you can play in any order. At the end of each stage there's a boss. After killing all bosses there's a gauntlet of stages, followed by a boss rush, followed by the final Why Capcom? Why, after making every other aspect of this game different, you keep that one core thing of Mega Man's? I don't want to see another boss rush as long as I live. The first game does it different enough, as you have missions that continue from each other. For example, you go take over an enemy factory, then a later mission has you go back to that factory to defend it from an enemy attack trying to retake it. Or after this desert one, which is one of the worst escort missions I've played in recent memory, you go back and discover the enemy's secret base. I thought this was a clever way to reuse levels as well as keep it from just being go here, kill a guy. Which every game after 1 is what it devolves into, and I feel it breaks the pacing of the game. The first one's mission structure really felt like I was helping the Resistance by going on these missions. It just so happened that there was a boss character waiting for me at the end, which makes sense in the context of the story that the Neo-Arcadians would try to stop me. Every other game it felt like I was just playing a Mega Man game, but with a more fleshed out story. 3 was the worst in my opinion with this. While the missions do make sense in the context of the story, just structurally it made it feel like it wasn't natural at all. I was watching this engaging story I was familiar with these characters I care about, but before I continue I gotta play a Mega Man game. By 4, it's just that. 8 bosses on a screen, a mid-stage, final stages. These games are still great, but whenever I made it to that level select screen or boss rush spot, I didn't want to keep playing because I've done this so many fucking times. How many fucking times are you gonna do this? I'm sorry. 1 is the best to me just because it feels like I'm playing a different game. The other 3 are great and even improve on some aspects, but just feel like Mega Man games with the speed up function turned on. Sorry, I just can't deal with another boss rush. Every time I close my eyes, I just see 8 tubes ready to transport me. I can't take it. Okay. Got some water. It's all good. We're fine. We got 2 more games to look at. The ZX games. And interestingly, the ZX games take a heavy departure from the series, being Metroidvanias. But they still end with fucking boss rushes. The Zero games were hits, so when the DS came out, the developers, Inti Creates, were given the chance to continue the story. Which if you play Zero 4, you should know is impossible. So once again, taking place centuries later, we are introduced to new characters in ZX and ZX Advent. And unfortunately, these sequels don't live up to the original in my opinion. ZX, you can choose a gender, but as far as I know, this doesn't affect anything. The game plays out exactly the same. The story is nowhere near as good as Zero. You're just some generic chosen one, and your personality is basically, I will protect everyone. In other words, boring. The actual plot of the Model W, it's so uninteresting, I began tuning it out after a while. While the story is lackluster, the gameplay, like most Mega Mans, is where it shines. Like I said before, these are Metroidvanias, and those unfamiliar with the term, it describes a game that plays similar to Metroid or the mid-2000s-ish Castlevania games. Is that how I describe them? Things common with these kinds of games are open worlds with maps that tell you where to go, but before you can get to certain places you need to get upgrades along the way that allow you to backtrack and will let you progress the story once you get, the certain item you need. I actually found this to be a great way to shake up the Mega Man formula. Yes, ultimately you're still fighting a bunch of bosses after a level and then a boss rush, but adding this different way of getting there did make it feel unique to me. Granted, the map system is pretty ass. Look at a map from Metroid, you got left, right, up, down, simple to understand. Here though, everything is a diagonal, and sometimes you'll go left, but end up going down, right, and why do you have going down, right when I go left? It's a side-scroller. Now the game controls like Mega Man Zero to no one's surprise. You do get different forms and weapons after beating certain bosses, and you will only use Model H's form because you get an air dash and a double jump. But why would you use any other form? The sad part is, once you've settled into the idea that it's a Mega Man Zero game in the style of Metroid, it doesn't have much else going for it, especially with the sequel, ZX Advent. This one, your character choice does matter, the opening level is different. That's it. The story is worse. In this one, I couldn't tell you what it's about, I stopped caring an hour in. Also, this game is voiced and weirdly horny.
So now that your appetites have been wet for booty,
I'm going to go ahead and meet our booty face to face.
booty is always in the lead airship. We always go in from the back and end up messing it all up.
Of course, you're my booty. And you'll be going with me. I'll give you a taste of my special nectar.
One thing that annoyed me was every time you enter a cutscene, it transforms you into your base A form. Why? What's the point? It's in-game models talking with text boxes. The last game didn't do that. I know that's a nitpick, but it's something that happens a lot, and it really annoyed me. One new thing is you can actually transform into bosses, which is not as cool as it sounds. Each form is very situational and is only used in specific spots to get items or to progress in the stage you play after the one you got it in. This one's not even useful on land, and that's 90% of the game, you're on land. And if I'm in the water, I'd use the other form. What's the point of this? I didn't realize it for a while either, why Model A's voice got on my nerves, but then it hit me. The annoying voice, your character uses dual guns, the X universe. It's based off Axel. Fuck. Good thing I barely used it. Aw man, I sure have played a lot of Mega Man games so far, more than any human should. Well, next up on my list is the Mega Man Battle Network series, a favorite of mine. And there's 6 long JRPGs. And they have their own spin-offs. I'm going to take a break from Mega Man for a while.